Hello, and welcome to Overseas Leafs Report. This episode's jam-packed. We've got MOvember updates, game recaps, and predictions of the Leafs' upcoming games. So since the last episode where we were covering the October Freddy, the calendar is flipped and we are fully in MOvember mode. Maple Leafs have 6 players that have decided to grow their mustache. And of the 6, I predict that Freddie Gauthier will have a full handlebar by the end of November. If you haven't gone to check the Toronto Maple Leafs team on MOvember Canada, definitely encourage you to go have a look. We've received some great donations so far. I'm happy to be part of it. A shout out to the people who have donated to the team and boosted up my own totals a little bit. Two important games to talk about this week. First up was a game at home versus the Dallas Stars. Before the game, nice pregame ceremony for Ron Hainsey. I know I give him a hard time for his lack of mobility and his play early in the season, but 1,000 games is nothing to scoff at. It's exactly 1,000 more games than I'll ever play in the NHL, so it's nice to see him get recognized. Nice to see him there with his family. 3 kids. Justin Hall got his first game of the season. Nice to see him paired up with Dermott, who's also making his return to the lineup. Those guys are familiar with each other from their time in the AHL with the Marlies. Strangely, I noticed a lot of empty seats before puck drop. Could it be a Halloween hangover or midweek game versus a Western Conference opponent? Good energy from the Leafs early. You can tell Marner's possessed. He's back checking and pushing forward. All the plays are going through him. Power play came close. You could tell things were trending in the right direction. Tavares came close, hit the post though. Close call. Several heavy hits from the Stars. I know it's already a reoccurring theme. Physical, heavy. I think you'll start to notice a lot of teams coming into Toronto's building and adopting that game plan of pushing the Leafs around early, taking the puck, and then trying to capitalize on their chances. So the Leafs have had to change the way they play a little bit, especially at home because they're not scoring 6-7 goals a night. Now that goals are a little bit rarer, it emphasizes the importance of playing steady defense, getting the puck out of the zone. And while we're on that, during the Dallas game, giving 2-on-1 chances from the red line is the exact opposite of that. Closer to midway through the second, Tavares pushing the action with his signature play close to and around the net. So if you remember in the last game that was in Dallas, the Dallas power play had proved to be quite strong itself, even though in this current game, the actual penalty to Toronto had expired, but Ben scored right after that. So it's almost an extended power play. And then Toronto gets another penalty right after. You'll see this Dallas power play again prove to be very strong. And that's despite having Radulov out of the lineup with an injury. Very close chance for Marner while shorthanded. Khudobin makes up for the puck handling giveaway. And I thought Toronto was looking pretty good, keeping the puck in Dallas zone. But then they gave up another 2-on-1. Leafs get another power play early in the third. And this seems like the perfect time to tie up the game. But no success. Instead, it's Dallas who adds to its lead with a pretty tic-tac-toe play in the Toronto zone. Defensive coverage was pretty bad there, and suddenly it's silent in the arena. Soon after, I was certain that Marleau had one. I was convinced, but the replay proved that I was wrong. It's got to be demotivating for players. I mean, I'm having a hard time on the couch. Imagine being on the ice and the puck's just not going in for you. Being on the power play plus taking the goalie out just showed how desperate the Leafs were at that point. And then Marleau finally gets one. It's a minor relief. 3 minutes to go. And that entire 3 minutes was basically in the Dallas zone, attacking the net, putting pressure. Marner came close. A lot of chances, but Khudobin held strong. I don't think the Leafs are going to face a lot of backups this season. So good on Khudobin for making the best of the opportunity. Overall, there were some good moments, but just no finish from the Leafs. I think it's a step in the right direction, but the losses are starting to pile up at home. The other game I'll talk about this week was on the road at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh. Interestingly, it's the Maple Leafs' only visit to PPG this season. So Leafs lines were all blended up at the beginning of the game. to hopefully spark the scoring. On D, Hall only got one game, and he's back out. Ozhiganov returns and takes his spot. Kadri and Kapanen generate the 2-on-1 chance, but Kadri held on a little bit too long, and Murray was able to come across and make the save. And then right after, Marleau gets called for the offensive zone penalty. Throughout the period, you could tell the Leafs were working really hard to get that first goal, and I'm sure that was Babcock's message at the beginning of the game.
Right, so he's just got to work hard and do the right things, and
work is rewarded. Tavares gets a tip in front of the net. Leafs get that first goal. Hyman was working well in front of the net, causing a distraction while avoiding contact with the goalie. So that was a good first period for the Leafs. First goal, out shooting, winning more faceoffs. Beautiful work by Kapanen at the start of the second, dishing over to Marleau. One move to the backhand, another goal. More good work while the Leafs were shorthanded. They actually got the better chances compared to Pittsburgh, who had the extra player. Pittsburgh put Casey DeSmith, their backup goalie, halfway through the second as Murray was working through some equipment issues. Seemed like his skate blade, and he's back in time for a penalty drawn by the fourth line of Leafs. That penalty had expired when Riley and Tavares got the counterattack. Another great goal by Riley, adding to his early season totals. Pretty inconsequential third period. Riley adds another goal on the power play, using the generous bounce off the boards, and then one last own goal credited to Zach Hyman. Before the game, Jason Ishida, a fellow Leafs fan and good friend, had sent in his prediction, but I'm sure just like me, he was quite happy to see the Leafs come out on top. Was the best Leafs game in recent memory. Shutout for Freddie Anderson. Improving the flawless road record is never a bad idea. Now let's see if they can translate that success and bring it home. So we're going to try something a little bit different now with predictions for the Leafs' upcoming games. Jason has put in his predictions there. And now it's my turn to look at the matchups and tell you what I think. Game versus the Vegas Golden Knights at home. Vegas is coming off a 3-0 shutout of the Carolina Hurricanes. Their record still isn't that impressive, but it's offset by the Leafs' struggles at home. So it's a bit of a toss-up for me here. I'm going to pick the Maple Leafs. 3-2 winners at home versus Vegas. Another game at home versus the New Jersey Devils, who just beat up on the Pittsburgh Penguins 5-1. Great hat trick for former Leaf and current Devil Brian Boyle. New Jersey's been pretty hot at times. Sadly, I think they'll come into Toronto and take the win there, maybe 3-0. And the last game I'll give my prediction for is versus Boston on the road. Leafs and Boston have had some classic matchups over recent years, and Boston's a team they'll be battling with in the Atlantic. I think the Leafs stay perfect on the road and beat up on Boston 4-1. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Feel free to send in your own predictions or your own MOvember pictures. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share, and keep track of any updates that I'll put during the week on Twitter.